All right, guys, how's it going? We're out here fishing California with EBA, doing fishing. California, what do you expect, right? Doing a report today on Jenkinson Lake, California, aka Slypark, aka El Dorado Irrigation District. It's their land apparently, but um, this lake is been one of those lakes where, it has moments, right? And the moments are so small. The windows in those moments are so small that it's rough. It's a rough lake to fish. It's tough. If you guys are out here and you coming out to catch fish, don't expect to be getting lots of bites. Don't expect to catch lots of fish. Don't expect a whole lot. Now, really, really important is really think about where you're fishing, why you're fishing there, and some of these things, they're going to be the more important things. So it's not necessarily how hard you're fishing, although that's important. It's not necessarily what you're using, although that's important. It's not necessarily important what day you go, although certain conditions can make or break the bite. But what it really comes down to is your choice of where you're fishing, why you're fishing there, your approach, your strategy, and that type of thing. But we're going to talk about Jenkinson Lake, Slypark, and what it's got going for it right now for fishing. You've got lake trout being caught. I saw one caught recently. Guy was down rigging deep, middle of the channel. Nothing big. Probably took him, I don't know, man. The guy had hundreds and hundreds of feet, maybe even yards out. It took him 35 minutes to reel in a 12-inch Mac. So he had this thing down there, and it took him a while, to get this 12-inch Mackinaw. The Mackinaw are biting, but I haven't seen any quality Macs come out of this lake in a little bit. So it's been, for me personally, I just haven't seen it. I haven't caught a bunch of Macs as of late. Buddies of mine haven't caught a bunch, and so the guys out there, they're catching a few here and there. They're not catching any of size. A lot of them are scrappy. They're thin. They look like they're not getting enough food. So the Mackinaw bite, it's there. It's not great. It's not giant max. Union Valley has a better opportunity for big max and more consistent bites. Donner Lake is another place. Caples Lake is another place, but not a great little, not great for that. But Tamarac's good. Echo Lake's good. But, Jenkinson Lake, it's tough thing. As far as the bass fishing goes, there's a bite here and there, but man, the bass are lockjawed right now. This is that temperature. We get into the 39-degree temperature for water. On one day we might get 40 or 41 and then drop down to 37 and 38. But these temps really kill the bass bite. Now, there are bass being caught here and there. The last time I went out, I did pick one fish up. It just happened to be a really impressive fish, but it was one fish. With the time before that, I was lucky enough to get two fish. But the three times I went before that, a bite here one day, and a hookup that got off another day where there's nothing at all. And we're talking about a lake where, like I said, it's not loaded with bass. It's got some bass. And the bass predominantly that I've seen, the juveniles that are starting to really explode in population, they are juveniles. So you're looking at 6-inch class fish, you're looking at small fish, and they've got, very little weight to them, but they can be fun to catch. They tend to be more active in the summer and the spring and the fall. But I was fortunate enough to get a large smallmouth not that long ago. But do keep in mind, this is one of those lakes you might not get bit day after day after day after day. And then one day you get that bite. It's that little window. It's that little moment. And sometimes it's, like, wow. Sometimes, a lot of the time, you're like, man, this is... it's nothing impressive. So what we've got to do is we've got to focus on what right now is doing well. The rainbow trout fishing is fairly well. The fishing for rainbow trout is I don't want to say it's consistent, but I'd say there's more rainbow trout coming out of that lake than anything else right now. And there's not a whole lot, but in comparison to every other species, and you add up all these other fish and you say, okay, what's being caught the most? It's rainbow trout. But what's a good day for a trout fisherman out there? I'd say it's 3 trout. I'd say 3 trout would be a good day. I'd say mostly bank fishermen are struggling to get those trout, and the boat fishermen are able to get to the right depth, the right whatever, because they've got the fish finder. They've got, all these different things showing them where the schools of the trout are and where the other schools of the other fish are. So they've got an advantage. They can kind of get an idea of the depth, the water clarity, the temperature, and they can do a lot more of that than you can on the bank when you're kind of like stuck. But we haven't heard anything about crappie and bluegill fishing. Is like, wow, that's like a window where, man, bluegills show themselves once or twice a year there, and for the rest of the year they play peekaboo. For the, you might see them under a dock, but we're talking, most of them are so small, it's not funny. So we're really gonna be talking about this lake a little bit, but we're really trying to highlight how don't go out there and expect it to be great. Don't expect an incredible experience. Don't expect a lot of bites. Trout would be your best bet. Very primitive type baits would be your best bet, just natural things. But in general, there's a lot of better places to go right now and fish. If you're looking to go fish for trout, Comanche's doing really well. Amador isn't doing as well, but there's some monster fish being caught there. But, a lot more trout being caught there versus Jenkinson Lake. It's just not, it's not really planted. It's not well managed. It's not taken care of, that type of thing. So, if you're going out to Jenkinson Lake, it's a cool place, but I wouldn't drive a couple hours to come up here and fish a lake at this time of year. I'd go somewhere else. And unfortunately, throughout the entire year, there's always going to be somewhere better than Jenkinson Lake. Having said that, there are moments, there are windows, they are very short and brief, but incredible things can happen.